if marriage was never created or invented, what would have happened to women? By the creation of marriage, it inherently creates the danger that women are trying to escape by getting married. Women are trying to escape poverty, right? By getting married. They try to, because they have to depend on some man for money. This is, mind you, I will say this is 1970 and before when women couldn't open bank accounts and had no personal property rights. And so if we think about that time, right, if marriage had never been established, the property rights of women would have never been taken away. If that was never established, then she would have always had access to money, power, resources, and things. And so they couldn't be taken away and only given to her if she was established with a man. It's like by the very creation of marriage, you have created the problem that now marriage is trying to solve. That's such a Trump. That's such a Trump. That's such a Trump thing to oh yeah, I'll end this war, but you started the war. Like what? Nick, you could have just not started the war. Hello, 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 and welcome back to Bree Speaks podcast. I am your host, Bree Speaks, who created the 7 narcissistic social hierarchies of control. The 7 narcissistic social hierarchies of control are patriarchy, capitalism, corporatism, racism, ableism/ageism, speciesism, and Abrahamic religions. Those are the 7 pillars that control our minds, that have indoctrinated all of our brains, keep us mind controlled, keep us under the influence of the powers that be, and stop us from realizing self-actualization and becoming the people we were always meant to be, the people who we truly are deep on the inside, the childhood us who we were before the world decided to make us a tool for patriarchy and capitalism and corporatism and racism and ableism and Christianity and Abrahamic religions. Before all those things came in and said, mine, your mind, we were someone completely different. And I want us to get back to who we used to be so we can be free and happy and not give a flying fudge what everyone else thinks about who we are. And, one of those things that I've done in my life that signify my commitment to this leaving the matrix is divorcing my perfect husband. And so that brings us to our category of today, the pillar we are talking about. We are going back to the patriarchy because it has been officially made, I guess, is today the 1-month anniversary of my divorce? Oh my goodness, is it really? Wow, how befitting. That wasn't even on purpose. But as of today, it's been 1 month since my divorce has finalized. People don't know how long I was married, and I was married for exactly 364 days. We were married May 5th, 2025, and the divorce was finalized May 4th, 2026. I had to cancel my marriage subscription before it renewed, and it took the money out my bank account. I had to cancel my marriage subscription, and it worked out. It all worked out, and I know people when I first did I divorced my perfect husband video, everyone's like, oh, you're going to regret this. And so I just wanted to give an update. No regrets here, baby girls and baby boys. I am living my literal best life. Since my divorce, I have traveled to Ghana, and it was the best trip I've ever had in my entire life. I spent it with my long time, going on 10 years now, best friend, who is a local of Ghana. She was raised there. She went to high school there, and she showed me the ropes. And then I actually did recently have a conversation with my now ex-husband, and we were talking about my trip, and he asked me if I think it would have, was it better since he wasn't there, or do I think it would have been better if he had been there? Which now I'm thinking about, I'm just like, what a question. And I was like, it would have been, I told him it would have been different. I said, it would have been different. It's different going on a couple's trip versus going on a trip as a single woman or with your friends. And so then he said, oh, well, I'm gonna just take that as it wasn't as good as it would have been if I were there. And I was saying that it was different to spare his feelings. But then he said that, and it made me realize that ego, that male ego, it is there. It is still there. The patriarchy is still in my ex-husband. Part of the reason why I left him. And he, till this day, will not, of course he'll say, no, I'm not patriarchal. And it's like, he's not very patriarchal. He's not that patriarchal. He's not the most patriarchal, but he is indoctrinated by the patriarchy like most men are. And so his ego tells him that a woman traveling with a man is going to be a better experience than a woman traveling with her friends. And I had to not so gently let him down and said, actually, no, I was thinking the opposite, that I had a better time without you than with you. And I wasn't lying. I wasn't saying that just to like piss him off. I was saying the opposite to not make him upset, because I still like hold him, in my heart, and I care about his feelings. But as I get further and further away from my marriage, it's just like it gives you more clarity. Anytime you leave a situation, you get more clarity on that situation, because when you're in it, it's very hard. Like, you can't see the forest through the trees when you're like close zoomed in on one tree, but when you back up and you can see the forest, you're like, that's where I was in the forest. Now I understand. And so as I'm zooming out, the further I get away from that relationship, I'm just like, it's just reaffirming all the things and the reasons why I left. And so I told him, no, it was better actually with just me being a single woman with my best friend. My best friend, she was a local, and so she was able to show me like the ins and out of Ghana that I wouldn't have been able to see had I went with my, at the time, husband. Had I gone with like an American male who I was romantically involved with and went to Ghana, it would have been a very tourist trip. And he knows this. We both hate going to other places as a tourist, because you don't get to see the real city for what it is. You get to see the shimmer and the glam that they want tourists to see. When it was like, it reminded me of the trip that he took me on, which was to Jamaica. It was my first time actually leaving the continental US, and I was very, very happy, and I appreciate him for making that dream of mine come true. But we went to an all-inclusive resort, which was nice, but we both left with the sentiment of, we felt like we were still in America, but just like with Jamaican flavor, just like on top. It didn't feel like we were in a different country. But when I went on this trip to Ghana, I felt like I was in Ghana, like a Ghanaian person at certain points, because I was so immersed in what was the true culture. My friend actually got a little mad because she was just like, this is just a regular day in Ghana. You're not experiencing like Ghana at her peak. But I told her, I was like, this is this is always what I want. Whenever I go to anywhere, I don't want to go to the tourist locations. I don't want to go to everywhere that's all expensive. I don't want to go to where they're performing their culture. I want to go be immersed in the culture. I want to feel the culture as it is, not as they want me to see it. And so it was the best experience I've ever had in my whole life, because I got to experience Ghana for who she is and not for who she wants me to see her to be. Because I hate that. I hate performance. I hate performance culture, no matter what it is, at a systemic level, at an individual level. It don't matter. I hate performance. I want to see the real authentic you, the real authentic this, the real authentic place. So yeah, I told him, yeah, no, it was better without you. And it was, and I wasn't lying. So all that to say, we're going back to the patriarchy today because I want to, give updates on how I'm doing, but also double down on, not only am I happy I got a divorce, but I would now like to say I think the entire institution of marriage should be abolished. Like that's where I'm at. I'm like, I am so happy, and I can see so clearly. I can now see that the fact that the institution of marriage exists is the culmination, it is the cause of so many global issues that would all be mitigated if the whole institution of marriage was abolished worldwide. There, I said it. So I know it's going to make lots and lots and lots of people angry, but Bree, what about the protections on women? It helps women with, being protected legally whenever the man eventually leaves them with nothing. And here's what I say to that. I say, if the establishment of marriage never existed in the first place, how many women would never have the mentality that I need to find a partner to get married in order to have protection? See, the thing about any sort of narcissist, here we go, is that whenever they put up any sort of thing and they call it protection, 9.9999999 infinity bar at the top for all my mathematicians, percent of those times, it will be not actually for protection, but for your entrapment. So I just want to, so that is the case here. The patriarchy has set up marriage and told us it is to protect the women so that you have rights to whatever your husband earns, versus if you're like, just the girlfriend or the concubine or the Jezebel or whatever crappy name you want to give women today, who are not married to a man who they're sleeping with. If you're just one of those women, you don't get anything for sleeping with this man. You don't get anything for, having his children, and you're not protected and all these things. But listen here, if you zoom out and think about what would happen if marriage was abolished today, right? Okay, today it will probably cause a lot of chaos, but okay, let's just pretend if marriage was never created or invented, what would have happened to women? First of all, when women were not being married prior to the invention of marriage, so and property rights and things like that, just starting there. But there, by the creation of marriage, it inherently creates the danger that women are trying to escape by getting married. Does that make sense? Women are trying to escape poverty, right, by getting married. They try to, because they have to depend on some man for money. This is, mind you, I will say this in 1970 and before, when women actually couldn't open bank accounts and had no personal property rights. And so if we think about that time, right, if marriage had never been established, the property rights of women would have never been taken away. Does that make sense? Like, if it wasn't created, if a structure wasn't created so that if this woman is not bound to a man, then if that is the only way she can access like wealth or power or money or things, resources, if that was never established, then she would have always had access to money, power, resources, and things. And so they couldn't be taken away and only given to her if she was established with a man. Does that make so it's like by the very creation of marriage, you have created the problem that now marriage is trying to solve. That's such a Trump. That's such a Trump. That's such a Trump thing to oh yeah, I'll end this war, but you started the war. Like what? Nick, you could have just not started the war. And so okay, so that's just one element of they say it's a legal protection for women, but the women wouldn't need the legal protection if marriage didn't exist in the first place. But then also I feel like almost my bigger problem is the culture that marriage creates. Because by the very existence of marriage, it creates this expectation over women that you should be married or that you have to get married or that marriage is the goal. And by making that expectation for young women, they spend their entire life, they spend so much of their brain, energy, juice, attention, magic energy manifesting love with a man, manifesting a relationship, searching for a relationship, all that energy you're spending as a woman's searching for a husband. If you spend all of that same energy searching for your life's passion, searching for a way to cure cancer, searching for a way to better your life in some way, in some meaningful way, searching for a way to fulfill your own personal dreams that are outside of a man, the world would be a better place. The world would be magnificent. The world would be grand. The world would be glorious. Most women who are divorced and plan on never marrying again, like myself, you can find them out in the community volunteering. You can find them out teaching. You can find them caring for other kids. You can find them doing something so grand in the world. Single women do so much. We do so much giving to the world because we have the time, energy, and space to do so because our brains are not hyper focused on trying to find or be with or satisfy or please a man. You just have so much time and energy to do other things. And so if marriage did not exist, women by default would be in their natural God-given woman energy of going around helping the community, going around helping their friends, going around helping family, and we wouldn't be worried about a nigga. So I'm just I just feel like as a 1 month post-divorce woman, at this point, it's just I don't see I feel like there is a net negative by having the institution of marriage even exist. Okay, and then then it gets worse. All right, so we've got the economic protection that it gives is fake because women wouldn't need it if the marriage didn't exist in the first place. The economic the visibility in the community that women are lacking or / losing because they are holed up in this house trying to help out this man. That's another problem. It makes the cultural aspect of making women feel like they need to spend all of their time looking good for or trying to get a man. That's another problem. But then if you go even further down the line, I'm gonna throw in child marriage in there. That is just the fact that the institution of marriage exists, it creates the opportunity and the ability for parents, I don't even want to call them parents, gross, yuck, to marry off their children, their young girls, and it's always a young girl, to some old, crusty, dusty, wrinkly man who, it's gross, sorry, who will take advantage of this young girl. And these girls, mind you, especially in different countries who are 8 and 9 and 10, 11, 12, had their first period and now they're oh, they're a woman now. No, they're not a freaking woman. They are a girl who just had her first period. Why is that? Anyways, And so the fact that marriage as an institution exists, it incentivizes the selling off of young girls, the traumatizing of them for their entire lives, the forced pregnancy and birthing of children that they did not actually consent to having. Children cannot consent to getting cigarettes, to drinking alcohol, to getting to voting, to joining the army, or to drive, to whatever. But we can say, oh, if a parent, and I'm talking about the recent bill that was passed in Oklahoma. I think it was Oklahoma or Ohio, one of the O states, where they just passed the law saying that child marriage is illegal. Like, you can't marry off children. People can't get married until they're 18. And there were 36 people in the voting committee who said no, men who said no. If a 16-year-old girl wants to get married to a 60-year-old man, and their parents say, oh, she's mature enough to make decisions on her own, then we should be able to allow them to do that. And we shouldn't be in their houses dictating what they can and cannot do and tell their children. And I'm just like, so we can dictate that they can't drink. We can dictate that they can't drive. We can dictate that they can't join the army. We can dictate that they can't vote. We can dictate that they can't smoke cigarettes. We can dictate all these things, but they can't even get, half the girls can't even get birth control at 16. I had to take my little cousin to get birth control when she was under 18, because she was under 18. She can't even get birth control by herself, but we can give them permission to sign off the rest of her life, her legal status, everything about her life can be signed away by her parents, mind you, not her, by her parents under the age of 18. Does that make sense? It don't make sense. I don't even got to ask, does that make sense to you? Because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all to anybody but the pedo rapists who want to be able to assault and rape and groom young girls. And then let's talk about the fact that child marriage even exists. It's like, I listened to a different creator. She just discussed it so well, but we really don't talk about the mental state and capacity of these men who are accepting these child brides or want these child brides. We really skip over the fact that there are grown men who want to marry 8 and 9-year-olds and then say, oh, if the parents say it's okay, it's fine. We know that an 8 or 9 or 10 or 11, 12-year-old cannot make good and robust and consent is informed consent. We know that a child cannot make informed consent because they are not informed. They're dumb. They're children. They haven't had enough experience or knowledge placed into them to be able to make good decisions on their own behalf. That's why we have parents making decisions on their behalf. But we know that there are parents who don't make good decisions on the behalf of their children, but we still allow bad decisions to be made on. We know if a parent is allowing their child to be touched and raped on by some big ass grown man, and then this was another thing in Ohio/Oklahoma, whichever one it was that the rule was like, oh, if that young woman is pregnant, then she can get married to the man who impregnated her, even if she's under 18. But it's like, y'all don't see the problem with that. Y'all don't see the problem with that. Yeah. So as long as a man rapes a good little girl and gets her pregnant, then he can have access to her body forever legally. So instead of looking at the mentality of the man who was having a schmexual relationship with a child and say, no Negro, or I don't want to Negro, I say Negro, racially neutrally, man, gross old man. Instead of looking at this creepy old gross man, we say, yeah, he impregnated this young girl, so he should so here's the thing, we see marrying a girl and making the man responsible for her as a punishment for the man, when really it's just a punishment for the girl. It is just a punishment for whatever young woman has to now move in with and live with and raise children with and be raped by regularly this man who raped her in the first place. But we're going to tell the man, we're not going to talk about the man though. We're not going to talk about the man. And we're not going to talk about him touching little girls, looking at little girls. We're going to say that's perfectly fine, normal, and natural. And then we'll allow you now to marry this young woman who you probably groomed and or outright raped. And we're not going to look at him. Nothing's wrong with the man. He's natural. He's normal. That's fine. What is wrong with us? Not me. What is wrong with y'all? Probably not anyone watching this channel. What is wrong with the world? Narcissism. That's the world. It's like we prioritize allowing people to hoard and then exert power over people who are just innocent children trying to live their world in this here 3D in the earth. Right. Okay. So then another issue I have with marriage, and I know another piece of pushback that people will have is they'll say, what about the children? It's statistically shown that children of 2-parent households are more well off than children who come from single parent households. And to that I say, but why? But why is that? And again, it comes from the fact that marriage exists creates a problem, and then we look at marriage as the solution for the problem that it created. That's the same reason of like, it's literally the same as saying, why are Black people poor? It's like, why do children from single parent households have worse outcomes? It's not because two parent households are better. It's because the systems that are set up intentionally to ensure that children of two parent households have more access to resources, have more access to capital. Like, because, okay, and you're like, oh no, that doesn't make sense. But Brie, what are you talking about? A man who is married gets more money. Fact. Go look it up. A woman who is married, does she get more money? Probably. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna say yeah. I haven't looked that one up, but someone else go look it up, and I'm here. I'll look it up because maybe not. But even if I'm not okay. Even if women who are married don't make more money, because I know that women who get married and then they have kids, they drop out of the career field and then they lose a lot of promotion potential and earning potential and opportunity. Women who are married still have more social capital. And so if you are a woman who is married, you will have more access to more opportunities, even if those aren't necessarily like job opportunities. Even though I feel like as someone who worked in corporate America, I feel like when I told white people that I was getting married, they treated me better. I feel like I know for a fact I got a promotion when I got engaged. And now, like, is that a coincidence? Who's to say? But it's like the way that white people who control corporate America view marriage, and I'm just white people because, because Hispanic people, they are very patriarchal. Southwest Asia, so like India, Pakistan, also Arab. So all societies are pretty patriarchal. Africa, as someone who went to Ghana and was not to say disappointed about all the patriarchy because I knew what I was going into, but like who was, I don't know. I know Black women are so strong everywhere. And even in Africa, especially in Africa, I feel like Black women are super strong, but they're still indoctrinated. They're still indoctrinated into men first, men lead the house. And it's just like, that doesn't even make any sense. How are men, I was just watching an episode of, the Audacity podcast. And they were just talking about how men aren't natural leaders. And I was just like, because like and they say like, oh, women need to step out the way so that men can lead. And it's like, a leader doesn't need someone to step out the way. A leader just steps up and leads, which is what women are doing. And I'm just like, wow, what a great train of thought of like, men need women to move out the way in order for men to lead, when it's like, if you want to be a leader, you don't need someone to move out the way. You just rise to the occasion as your leader. You're a leader. You lead. You don't need someone to tell you to lead. You don't need someone to step out the way to lead. You are a leader. It is by the very word LEAD. It is you are the one to take initiative. You are the one to start the process. You are the one to push forward the change. And so if you need permission to become a leader, you're not a leader. If you need to ask someone to become a leader, then you're not a leader. If you need to get affirmation or validation from the outside world before you can do something, then you're not a leader. You are a puppet. You are a employee. You are a subservient individual waiting for someone to tell you what to do, which is what men do every day. And these hierarchical structures. They go to the army and the captain tells them what to do, and then the general tells them what to do, and then the commander tells them what to do, and then the president tells them what to do. It's just like a bunch of men submitting to another man in the hierarchy, when women are out here doing everything they need to do by themselves without asking nobody to do it. Which one sounds like a leader to you? Oh, yeah. Children from two-parent households come out better, not because two-parent households are better, but it's because society has been set up to ensure that two-parent households thrive, versus if you are a single parent, you don't if we had a society that you could work a job for 40 hours a week and then be able to support yourself and a child, like single parents wouldn't, the children of single parents wouldn't have such bad outcomes. Like if we lived in a world where structural racism didn't exist, Black people wouldn't have such bad outcomes. Like if we had a world where corporatism and corporations didn't have the same amount of rights and votes. Did you guys just hear about what is the state with the most? Nevada? Is it Nevada? It's like one of the states with the most business friendly laws. We're all like Delaware. We're all basically, corporations are incorporated in that state, which is Delaware, because they have such business friendly laws. They just voted that corporations, if you own a corporations have a vote in their laws, and then also people have a vote. So if you are a person, you have a vote, and then if you're a person with a business, your business has a vote, which is just you, and so now you have two votes. So that is like the amount of rights that corporations have. And if we lived in a world where corporations didn't have the same rights and freedom of speech, they can just put as much money into policies as they want because it's their representation of freedom of speech. Like if we lived in a world where corporations didn't have so much structural power, people would be doing better than corporations. But corporations and the top 0.1% are doing better than everybody else because of the system, not because people are inherently unable to do well for themselves, but the system, the structure that is on top of America makes it so that the people who have money, who have had money generationally, are already at this. They've got this head start, and everyone else, pick yourself up by your bootstrap. You should have been born earlier. You should have been born into generational wealth. Why are you poor? You dummy. So yeah, so children born into two-parent households, they come out on average better, not because of the two-parent household, but because of the structural advantages that a married couple has. But if marriage didn't exist, the structural advantages that have been built around marriage and the ownership of women and children for men, if that didn't exist, guess what? The structural advantages for those children of two-parent households wouldn't exist, and then all the children would rise at the same rate, and they would rise to the same occasion. So again, what is marriage doing for anyone? And so, and then it's also like this social like marker, right? Whenever a man proposes, like, oh, it's this big deal. Like, yeah, even when I got engaged, one of my most liked posts ever, of course, was my engagement. And it's like, that is the social capital that marriage brings is ridiculous, because it's we know what happens once people are married. Like, I felt it when I got married. Y'all, this is me. You're getting me, and this is who I am. But whenever I got married, you just feel yourself shrinking into this spot, this space. And I know people are gonna be like, oh no, I never, shrank myself to be in my marriage. And it's just like, you don't know that you did, but do you talk to your friends the same amount that you talked to them before you got married? Do you interact with your community the same amount that you interact with them now that you're married? Do you go outside and just do things by yourself the same amount now that you're married? So you changed. And I'm not saying change is wrong, but you changed to accommodate this partnership and at the expense of the things you used to do for yourself. I'm just like, I want to say, I don't think I've seen a woman get married and seen her not gain weight and see her not like be looking all stressed out and see her like, I don't think I've seen a woman get married and like after about 2-ish, 3-ish years, like see her still flourishing. Like we might flourish in that first year, but after that, it's all downhill from there, buddy. I'm just like, bruh, I got divorced officially a month ago, and then I guess we separated before that, but my skin. Yeah, I'm wearing a little makeup right now, but not like y'all. I had so much adult acne when I was in this relationship, and it's just like I didn't even realize. I just thought I had adult acne, and this is, mind you, I was in a relationship before I got with my husband. I was gross. I don't even want to talk about it, but I decided, give my son's father a second chance because of the pandemic, and I was in pandemic brain. It was dumb. Anyways, and I had a lot of acne at that point, and then before that, did I have acne? Because I know I didn't have. I don't know. I think all of my adult acne really started in college, and it had never stopped. So I think college was just, super stressful. I had literally a 0-year-old when I first started college. My son was 3 months old. So a bunch of acne during that time. And then did acne post college? I feel like I didn't. And then I got to jobs, and then that sucked. And then the acne came back, and then I got in a relationship. That acne was still there. Another relationship, acne is still there. And then I went to Ghana, acne cleared up, and it's been beautiful since. And I'm just like, wow, look at my face. And I haven't changed anything about my diet. I mean, I changed my diet a little way back when. I'll tell you, whenever you eat dairy, and I think that was a thing in college. I was eating a lot of dairy. I was eating a lot of cereal and milk because I was a poor broke college student, and I actually not say obviously, but I say obviously because 90% of the world is lactose intolerant, in some way, shape, or form, and mine just shows up in my acne, and it's mostly because it's like all the hormones they give to the cows. Anyways, don't the dairy industry, y'all. I might put that in another corporate video, but the crap that they're doing to that dairy industry, half the stuff that is going in American food is not even food. It's bioengineered like milk protein that they grew in cells in a lab that they imported from Israel. There's a whole chain of events between bioengineered food coming out of Israel in the partnership, but that's a different video. So anyways, all that to say, stress from the relationship, I didn't even know I was experiencing, because again, I thought I was happy in my relationship until the very end, where I could, again, I couldn't articulate exactly what, there was nothing, again, he was doing explicitly that was making me unhappy, but it was just the situation of being like permanently attached to another human, living with them every single day, having them experience me and me having to experience them every single day, and me not being able to grow and change however my body felt like I needed to grow and change. I had to grow and change in a way that fit a relationship, that fit another person's life, that fit a marriage. And I've never been that kind of a person to, like, I'm a very go with the flow, but like I'm a go with the flow person, but I also go to the beat of my own drum. I'm never going to do anything that makes me unhappy or uncomfortable. And so I couldn't articulate exactly what it was that he wasn't doing anything, but it's just the situation was stressful for me, and it showed up in my body. Y'all, I've lost weight. I feel so much better, and it's only been a few months out. And it was because of the relationship, not because of the person I was in a relationship with. And I hope that makes sense. It just, I never want to blame my ex-husband, because he wasn't a bad person. He just helped me see things about myself, and I appreciate him for that. And I'm sorry it was at the expense of his personal, happiness and well-being at the end there. Yeah. So anyways, this is one of the dresses I got from Africa. Isn't it cute? Back out. That's all. That is why the institution of marriage should be abolished. I think it would start the healing process for the entire world. I think all women would wake up and understand that marriage is not the end all be all. It's not very important. And in fact, it's likely detrimental to you, your health, and your well-being, even if the man is good. Like, if the man is good, you don't need marriage to be with them. If they love you and you love them and you want to be with them, you guys should be allowed to be together for as long as you guys feel like you like each other. And then whenever it's time to walk away from each other, you all should be able to walk away from each other with no problems. Like, that's my thing is, like, marriage is it's a trap. I say it's a trap because it is one of those things. It's like coming to America. So many people in Ghana, when I was talking to them, they were all, oh, I want to go to America. And it's just like, and I kept telling them, no, America sucks. America is only good if you are rich. America likes to advertise itself as this country of glitz and glam and opportunity, but that's only if you have money. If you have money, you can have all those things. But if you come here poor, you will get trapped in America, because you know how many Uber drivers I'm on several boards, and I used to travel for my job. And one thing I would always do is, when I got out the airport, I would, get into an Uber going to whatever hotel I was going to. And I would always ask the Uber driver, like, why are you here? Especially here's the thing, they will usually be foreign people, and I'll ask them, where are you from? What brought you to America? I mean, how are you liking it now? How does it compare to your old country? I would have this conversation always, like literally collecting data in my head as I was going to these different places. And no matter where I was, and I've been, this is all the way from Texas to, California to, where else have I been? Chicago, North Carolina, South Carolina, DC, Virginia, Maryland, all of those, like, where else have I been? New Orleans. I'm just like, I've been all over the United States. And no matter what, when I ask these foreign Uber drivers what's what, their answers are always the same. I came to America for my family, looking for opportunity to, send money back to my family. I'm now doing Uber because it was, one of the easiest, quickest jobs I can do. It's not making me enough money. The money that I am making goes back into this car. Most of the time they're renting a car from Uber in order to do Uber, which is literally sharecropping. If you guys didn't know what sharecropping was, after slavery was over and after 1865, when slavery was abolished and the Reconstruction era started, the people who were enslaved, who were no longer enslaved, but couldn't get a job anywhere, because those people who had the companies who could hire people were white people, and white people owned the farm. Then they didn't want to. What they would do, as long story short, is they would say, "Hey, black person who was just enslaved, working this yard, you can keep working the yard, and instead of doing it for free, I'll let you live here where you already were living. I won't give you money, no." So you're still enslaved. So it's like they would rent out the tools, or they would rent out a piece of land, or they would rent out the house, or like they would rent stuff from their employer in order to work for their employer. And so they were stuck in this endless loop of just working to pay off the debt that they owed the person that they were working for. And that's what it is with Uber. They let you rent these cars, and you work Uber to pay off the car, hoping that you can also make some money on top of that, but they never pay you enough to actually get out of the loop. And they do that on purpose to keep you trapped. And so now all the people that I talk to, they want to go back to their old countries, but they can't because they can't afford to leave. Like the rest of America. Americans think that, our birth rates are declining, but our population isn't declining because of the immigrants, of people immigrating into America. But people don't want to be in America because America is great. They think they can get money here. And then once they figure out it's not great and they can't get money here, they want to leave, but they can't. They don't have the money to do so. And so they're trapped here. That's why the population isn't going down, is because while birth rates are going down, we're adding in more people. But it's a one-way door. So what, people come into America and then they can't get back out. And so, the population will stay steady because people are trapped here. That's the same thing with marriage. People, it makes this beautiful marriage is wonderful. Oh, it's just glitz and it's glam. Oh, you're going to love it. You're going to, have all these children. You're going to cook all day and sweep all day and mop and vacuum. And your husband's going to come home and say, hi, honey, I'm home. And you're like, oh my God, I'm so glad to see you. As you like pat and burp this baby and you're like, oh, honey, it's so sweet. And then you're going to try to give the baby away. And you're like, oh no, I'm tired from work. And you're like, okay, I'm gonna make dinner. And then you go have a mental breakdown because you're married. And then you want to get a divorce, but all those likes on Instagram that you got from your marriage photos, all those gifts you got from your wedding, like, you can't disappoint everybody. Everyone's looking out. Everyone's looking up to you. Everyone literally in my family was looking up to me because I was the first person to graduate college. First person to get a corporate America job, first person to get engaged properly, to not have technically, I won't say first person not to have a Justice of the Peace wedding. And we had a public engagement, and then we did do a Justice of the Peace wedding but we had our closest family there. And then we were planning to have our big, the big traditional white wedding with the dresses and stuff like that. Although my dress was going to be like pink or blue. I was never going to do a white dress. That's so blah. Yeah. And so I was like, as I was like going through, like, should I get a divorce? Should I not get a divorce? I was thinking about how I know that I come from a family of impoverished people. And so I know that I have a lot of like little cousins, a lot of little like nieces and nephews who look up to me as like I am the one going in my family to like break chains, break generational curses, break barriers. And I know that I had one of my favorite little cousins tell me, like, after my engagement, she couldn't wait to come to my wedding because she's never been to a wedding before. And I knew that because one of my childhood friends, shout out to you, Ikra, she was one of the first weddings I went to, like, as a grown adult. Like, white people don't realize how, like, weddings are so common in white culture, but weddings are so expensive. Like, a lot of Black people and people who have experienced generational poverty, we don't get to see and experience and be a part of big weddings because they're so expensive. Our families have just never afforded it. And that's if we even get family members who are getting married, because a lot of Black families is baby mamas and baby daddies. Like, marriage is not in them. It's not even, they did not, like, this little cousin in particular. I'm like, mind you, this little cousin, she just went off to college. She's like 18 or 20. And I want to say my auntie and uncle are still not married till this day. And they got 3 kids. The kids is got to be almost 20, 25, 26, 27, 30. Like, these are people who have been together for decades, living together for decades, till this day, still not married. And, some of that is cultural and some of that is like logistic, because a lot of times if you're in a impoverished family and you're on like food stamps or you're on, a tenant for a welfare check or something like that, and you're getting any assistance from the government, of course, the way the system is structurally set up, if you are getting these things as a single parent, you'll get more money than if you get married. Then they turn off all of your stuff. So it's easier for a woman to not be married as a single mom and then live with her, baby father, than it is for them to actually get married and then she lose all of those benefits, and then the baby father not be able to actually compensate in any way to make up for the money that they lost. Or even if the baby father is working, that is still income that they're getting, and then the government assistance is also income that they're getting. So still getting married means you lose the government assistance and you're still just depending on that, and it's just better to have both. Why more the merrier. And so it's just like culturally and logistically, it has been incentivized for Black people not to get married. And I'm a little grateful for it. If I'm being honest, I say that, I've said this before, but like, the systemic dismantling of the Black family was probably one of the, I don't want to say one of the best things that happened to Black women, but as I look across all of these patriarchal cultures, Black women in America, Black American women are some of the only women who are not, I would say they're still like patriarchally indoctrinated, but we have been forced for literally hundreds of years, generationally, in my genetics, my bones, we have been forced to carry our families on our back with no assistance because our men were stripped from us. They were put in jail. They were enslaved. They were in prison. They were lynched. They were like anything, all the things in the world happened to our Black men. And so they weren't around often, and we had to do it by ourselves for generations. And so now coming out of it, now that Black women are finally out of the oppression from under the foot of oppression of racism, which is still there. Again, I always say it's still there, but it's not so obviously this, again, it is systemically and structurally embedded in there, but it's not so obvious and so heavy that Black women can come up for air just a little bit. And now Black women have some of the highest rates of, getting education, some of the highest rates of starting new businesses. Also, we have the highest rates of like getting fired out of corporate America. But that's because Black women also, we go into corporate America in the same way we don't tolerate crap from our men because we know that we can live without men. We don't tolerate crap from white people in corporate America because it's just like, you're not going to disrespect me whenever I know who the fuck I am. And so I'm like, it was like low key a blessing that men were stripped from Black women because we are such a strong people. We are such a strong set of women. And yeah, and someone in my I Divorced My Perfect Husband video, they were saying, oh yeah, this is why Black women have the lowest marriage rates. And because of women like me who like divorce good men. But it's no, we have the lowest, this is going to be a hot take, but I'm like, I feel like Black women have the lowest marriage rate because we have the highest self-esteem. We have this highest self-respect. We do not take shit from anybody. Men, woman, white, Black, green, children, adults, anyone, friends or other. Black women are not going to put up with bullshit. And like, that is, if you make us uncomfortable, we're leaving. If you make us upset, we're leaving. If you hurt us, we're leaving. Like, it might take us a few times, right? It's victims of abuse takes on average 7 times to leave their abuser. But out of all of the women who are in that cycle, I'm just like, Black women, I would guess that we're the most likely to get out of it eventually. Yeah. I feel like with like white women, I've seen it. I've seen white women they are in a terrible relationship. They are unhappy. I know they're unhappy. I've talked to white women, especially as someone who has gone through what I've gone through with like me divorcing my husband. And again, I've been in corporate America. I got white friends. I got white lady friends, and I talk to them and I tell them what's happening, that I'm leaving my husband. I can see it in their eyes that they're like, whoa, you are leaving. Literally, I'm not going to say no names, but I got a white lady friend. And the long story short is she was like, she would do it too, but she just can't. Like, they just feel like they can't stand up for themselves. They feel like they can't leave their family. Like, it's just like, because the white culture is so hell-bent on aesthetics, so hell-bent on the performance part of looking good, they will sacrifice their authentic feelings, their authentic self in order to keep up the pretty picture. But Black women, because we are at the bottom of this racial totem pole, we just, again, the most dangerous person is someone who's got nothing to lose. Black women, when it comes to like social ranking or social status or social agreeability or like all that shit, we already got this angry Black woman trope. We've already got this ghetto baby mama trope. We've already got all of these stereotypes against us. So it's just like, why are we going to, like, again, you just got nothing to lose. Why would I stay in a marriage where I'm unhappy to show up a fake facade, like to show a facade, to show up a picture of like, oh, this is, my beautiful trad wife life. Like all these books that are coming out about all these trad ballerina farms, all these trad wives who are being abused behind the scenes. Like the lady, what is it? The girl, she was, I don't know if y'all know. Anyways, these little, I say little, but like all of these white woman trad wife influencers coming out after, 5 years of having children back to back to back to back. And then they come out and say, oh no, this was terrible. And I hated it. And he was abusing me. It's just like, it's the same story over and over again. It's the same story every time. What is the point of marriage? It is not helping women. It is not helping. And it's like, is it helping men? It's no, because marriage upholds the patriarchy and the patriarchy hurts men. And we know that. So what is it helping? What is it helping? Someone, please, anyone, tell me. I am waiting. I heard nothing. I got nothing. So I'm just like, it doesn't help. It only, the net benefit of the institution of marriage is here, and the net harm of marriage, there it is. It's somewhere in the ceiling. And so I just feel like if we got rid of it, women would be seen as equals much faster, and the children will be fine. If a man wants to be around his child, they will be with the child no matter what. The women would not have marriage as a safety net to feel like, oh, I'm married, so I'm good. I don't need my own money. I don't need my own job. I don't need my own account. I don't need to understand finances, because marriage wouldn't be a safety net that they can rely on, which they can't rely on it already right now. They wouldn't even have the thought of, I don't need to have my own bank account. I don't need to have my own money. I don't need to have, because like there wouldn't be this fake safety net telling women that they don't need to be able to sustain themselves, because marriage wouldn't exist. And so the net positive of deleting marriage, in my personal opinion, is infinite. Is infinite, is abundant. It's like, and then all the things that women would be doing with their time because they're not chasing marriage, y'all. Woo child. So I think that's it. I think you guys get what I'm going for. As a previously married woman who unsubscribed before her subscription renewed to her marriage, I recommend the same for all women. Those anniversaries that are coming up, celebrate your freedom, celebrate yourself, celebrate your own dreams. And this is for men too. Men, stop worrying about getting a woman. Stop worrying about being an alpha male by acquiring a woman. Like, just worry about yourself. That's worry about yourself. Stop looking at women. Stop, men and women, stop. Like, if you meet someone you like, enjoy the time that you have them, enjoy their company while you both enjoy your company. And then if one of you decides, I no longer am enjoying this, you accept that and allow it to walk away. Like, if marriage didn't exist, people would go into every relationship and interaction with the understanding that this will come to an end. People go into these marriages, or really they go into relationships expecting to go into marriage, and they think marriage is going, and they expect marriage to last forever. But if marriage didn't exist, every relationship, people would go into it with the understanding that this is going to end one day. And so I'm just going to appreciate the time that I have in this relationship. I'm going to appreciate the time that I spend with this person. And then whenever it's over, people will be it'll be easier to accept that it's over, because you knew it was going to be over from the beginning. There was no expectation that this was going to last forever. And we need to get rid of the idea that marriage lasts forever. Like, why is that even an expectation? That you will get together with another human being and live with them and be with them forever until you die. Why? I just don't, as someone who is a free spirit, a free flowing person, an independent person, a person who goes with the flow and walks to the beat of her own drum, to think that my life will be the same until the day I die with this other person is nuts, is ludicrous. Like, every day we're going to do this marriage thing, this every day forever, the end. No. It's just, relationships are not supposed to last that long. That's why every time you get in a relationship with someone or marriage with someone, like, you have these like, adjusting periods or like relationship bumps. It's like, those are natural endpoints. Those are natural points of a relationship. It's like, some things are like, we can work through this, like, and it's not that big of a deal. But like, there are some things, it's just like, when you are with this person and you're just like, it's just like, you don't have to keep going. You should just be able to, it should just be that easy to walk away. Marriage makes it extremely difficult to walk away. And that only benefits the state. That only benefits the man. And again, barely even then. It doesn't benefit anybody truly, though. It's like, there's no two people who are meant to just, like, the whole twin flame, the whole soulmate thing. Like, you can have a twin flame. I don't know. You can have a person that you vibe with a lot. I would call my best friend my twin flame, if I'm being honest, or maybe even my little sister. Like, people who I can feel that our inner core and essence are very similar and the same, even if our outer like expression of that inner core is different, but we have the same values, the same similar hobbies, similar interests, and you just vibe with them. Like, you can have a twin flame in that way, but it doesn't have to be a romantic partner. And that doesn't mean that you are meant to be with that person forever. Like, I do think my husband was my soulmate, if I'm being honest, like, if we want to call it that. But I think he was the man that I was meant to like spend like a significant amount of time with. And I feel like, if you believe in, different lifetimes and different dimensions, as if you're here, I hope you do. I do feel like in other, dimensions and timelines and existences, we do meet and we hang out at that time. Like, I feel like this is not our first time we're going to meet in this lifetime, and I don't think it's going to be our last. But I think in every single lifetime, we'll meet and then we'll go our separate ways. Maybe there's a lifetime, or I'm certain there's a lifetime where we meet and then we actually stay together until one of us passes away and we're old. But it's like, that just shouldn't be the goal. I know it sounds like a beautiful thing, but is it a beautiful thing of two people staying together for like till they die? Like, because they have to. Like, that's the thing. It's like, if two people stay together, I would be more impressed if there are two people who meet, who love each other, and who want to be continuously in each other's company forever until they're old, until the day that they die, and they're not married. Like, that is more like I wouldn't say like my auntie and my uncle, because I still feel like there's some obligation there. But if there are no kids involved and there are two people who are not married and they decide to be each other's companion for the rest of their lives, I think that's a beautiful thing. And they just choose to do so. And like, it's not because they are afraid of the legal process. It's not because they don't want to hurt their kids. It's just because, like, man, I really vibe with this girl, and I really vibe with this guy, or I really vibe with this girl, and I feel like this girl vibes with this girl, or this guy, or whomever, whatever, or any mix and match that you want to. But two people who decide to be each other's like companions forever with no legal or personhood or social like expectation drilling them into doing it, that's beautiful. But most marriages are just people, and they live to their old. They're just either women who were indoctrinated very, 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 very young, which is how, the men like them, get them when they're extremely naive, don't know who they are, don't know what they want in life, and then form and shape their minds to be whatever the man wants it to be. Yuck. Or, so it's like, usually those marriages that last forever are because women who were indoctrinated very young, or women who are married and have no way out. It's like, or I know a man who's in a marriage who he's stuck because he has no way out, because he's in a southern state where it's very difficult. Like, so man, some of the laws in these states to get out of a marriage are ridiculous. I was looking at laws in South Carolina for a friend, and who wanted to get out of his marriage, and you have to be separated for 1 year, not living in the same house as your spouse, in order to file for divorce. And I was just like, this person who I'm talking about, it does not have a lot of money. Neither of these people who are in this relationship who want to get out of this relationship, they don't have a lot of money. They don't have a second house that they can go into. And so and then a year, not like 6 months. And then it's just like, and then they were like, oh, you can't like talk to them too often, and then you can't, during this time you can't have schmecks with them, which who would know. But it's just like there are all of these things that are in place, and it's like you can't get out of the marriage unless all of these qualifications are met. Lucky for me, I got divorced in Maryland, and Maryland, it was like, it was funny enough, it was more to file the paperwork for divorce than it was to file the paperwork for the marriage certificate, which again, is just like, why is it so easy to get into a lifelong binding contract for that binds your entire life to another person so easily, but when you're trying to get out of your lifetime binding contract that you probably signed when you were 18, 19, 20, 21, very young, you can't get out of it. It's extremely difficult to get out of it. So it's just like nuts. So it wasn't hard to get out of my marriage in Maryland, but I had to pay more money and go through way more steps to get the divorce filed than it was to get the marriage certificate. Like, it just had to pay I think $60 to get the marriage certificate, and then go to the justice of the peace and then have them say, do the little, hey, do you want, yeah, you do, I do, great, sign the paper, and that was it. But I had to go file the divorce paperwork in Maryland for more money. It was like $100 and something. And then I had to go get my husband to sign a bunch of paperwork, and then I had to return that paperwork back in, and then they had to give me a hearing, and then we had to go to the hearing, and then after the hearing I had to fill out more paperwork, and then I had to send that paperwork into like some document place. So I had to do all of that to get a divorce, but to get married, we had to buy a piece of paper saying we wanted to get married, and then go to justice peace and get married. That was it. That was all. That's all you had to do. And you're bound to this person for the rest of your life until one of you either dies or fights the court system to get out. And it was easy for me to get out because my husband was a good person and was like, okay, she wants to leave, I'm gonna let her leave. But if he was a sucky, awful, terrible individual, he could have very much like, no, I'm not signing this. And then I would have had to literally go through the hell on earth process of fighting him in court to fight for my own freedom. I would have, if my husband wasn't, my ex-husband, if he wasn't a good and decent person, I would have had to literally fight for my own freedom because he didn't technically do. And that's another thing in South Carolina, you have to the only way you don't have to go through that process is that literally if you can give proof that your partner is like physically harming you in some way. That's the only way you can get out faster than the 1 year period before you can even start the filing process. And then after that, you got to do all the other stuff. So yeah, no, all of that bananas. Why can't people just walk away? Just walk away. Just walk away. I should be able to walk away. If I don't want to be with this person anymore, I should just be able to walk away. And then if marriage wasn't a thing, you wouldn't even be able to tie your finances together in such a way that you have to fight for it after it's all over. It's like, I'm like, what would you do for like stay-at-home moms? I'm just like, I just feel like, again, women would not even want to be stay-at-home moms because the whole, I am entitled to this money that my husband is making, is I'm entitled to it because I'm married to him. Like, women wouldn't have that mentality. So women wouldn't be going into marriage, like they wouldn't go into relationships, they wouldn't go into being stay-at-home moms. It's just like women would think so much more if marriage didn't exist. And I want women to really think critically and deeply about, is this what I want for me? Or is this what I want because society is telling me this is what I should want? Or is this what I want because this is what society has been grooming me to want from very young? Like, and then there's so much that marriage is, it's a detriment to society, and I wish it were gone forever. And everyone could stand up on their own and stand together if they want to, if they wish to, if they choose to, and not because they have to and they're being forced to by the government. All right, that is it. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you want to support Bree Speaks in any way, shape, or form, you've got a few ways you can do that. Haha, wait. Introducing new Bree Speaks merch. Woo, woo, woo. Fur, 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 fur. All right, it is official, you guys. I told you once, I was just like, would you want the 7 narcissistic social hierarchies of control on a mug? And no one said yes but me, but I'm enough, because from my last business venture, where I was doing my ADHD content, I made a hoodie. I was like, I still love my ADHD hoodie. And I'm still very proud of it, but it was black. And I made a hoodie for other people because I thought everyone else would like black. And I don't ever wear black. Like, I've got like two, like sexy black dresses. But even when I dress up to be like sexy, I don't like wearing black. Like, I know black is a sexy color. It's slimming. It's just not who I am. I'm not a black person. Like, I am a black person, but I do not like wearing black as a person. And so I like bright colors, and which is reflected in my 7 narcissistic social hierarchies of control chart. And I'm having some chai tea right currently, some chai with milk. And if you guys in America, if you haven't started putting milk in your tea, I learned it from a British girl when I was going to my predominantly white school. And there was a study of a black girl there from England. And she taught me that if you put milk in your tea, your life will change. And just putting you guys on, if you are an American and you don't put milk in your tea, you're missing out. Black tea. I haven't tried it with green tea. This is chai tea, which is still a black tea. But yeah, so I mostly do it in my black teas, but black tea with milk instead of just water, game changer. So anyways, if you would like your own Bree Speaks mug, it's got coffee on it. Sorry, it's got tea. If you would like your own Bree Speaks mug and have the 7 narcissistic social hierarchies of control and be able to talk to people about patriarchy, capitalism, corporatism, racism. What is this one? This is Abrahamic religions, ableism and speciesism, and understand the rankings that the society has placed us in, and understand that these are all fictional. They're not real. These are just the social constructs that have been embedded in our brains based on through media, through, the reward system that life has given us, all the things. It's all fake. It's all made up. But that is why we are here, of course, for anti-hierarchical change. This is why we have inverted triangles everywhere. And it is because we do not like hierarchy. We do not like structure. We want people to be free-flowing, independent, be able to do what they want, when they want, however they want it. I know when people say that sounds like mass chaos everywhere will ensue, but no, that's only because you think that humans are inherently evil and bad, and without structure, they would go into mass chaos and destruction. Maybe a bunch of men would, but in general, women would not. And there's a small select few portion of men who would not. And that would make up the majority of the population. Is 50% of the population is actually, I think it's 51% of the population is women. And that's on purpose. And so mostly women and a few men is really all we need for the majority of people to realize that you don't need structure in order to have a happy, healthy, sustainable home. You just need care, kindness, empathy, love, respect, and genuine concern for your fellow human being. So anyways, if you would like a mug, you can get one at breespeaks.co, not .com. And you can get a mug for yourself. This one is my 20 ounce, which is, it's very big. I like a very big cup of tea. But you can also get a 15 ounce or a 20 ounce. Wait, 20 ounce is a big one, 15 ounce or an 11 ounce is the smallest version. So if you just like a small cup of tea in the morning, then you can do that. But I do hope you get one. I do hope you like it. And I do hope it starts conversations. That's the point of it. The point of it is for you to be talking on your Zoom call and no one will be able to see what it actually says. But so they're going to ask you, what does it say? And then you can say, have a seat. we can talk about it. Don't get fired, because corporatism is on here. And if you start telling your coworkers that corporate America is a narcissistic structure that's here to extract all of our good experiences and are using us and abusing us for our labor, if you tell that to your boss, I'm not sure how that's going to end up for you. So don't get yourself fired, but do buy a mug. All right, so you can do that, or you can donate to my Cash App, Bree Speaks 2. That is Bree Speaks the number 2 on Cash App. Or you can always like, share, subscribe, hype these videos. Hyping for small creators is very, very important from what I hear. So if you want to share this and want this to be pushed out to the other people in the collective, which is us, everyone but the 0.1% is the collective. The collective is just life, anyone with life running through their bodies, including plants and animals. I think they would like to hear what I have to say. And so if you too want to share good messages that will help the collective, please do like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys again. In the meantime, don't get married. The God in me loves the God in you. And of course, as always, stay woke. Bye-bye.
You have a degree, a job, and have overcome so many challenges in life. But do you still feel empty inside?
No, I don't.
Yes, you do. That's because you need a husband. Once you get a husband, you can do so many things, like work all day at your job, then come home and work more. You get to cook dinner, clean the house, do laundry, wash the dishes, and so much more. Your husband was never taught how to do these things, so you get to do all the domestic labor by yourself for free.
The patriarchy is not responsible for any side effects, including husband leaving you, husband cheating on you, husband feeling violent towards you, husband committing actual violence to you, husband starting a podcast, husband having a secret second family, and so much more.